All right, welcome back to In the Can. We are with all sorts of people here. We just crowd this set with as many people as possible. I don't think many of you are even involved with the film.
Not at all.
No, we just find people just to make it look busy. Now, everybody here is involved in a very special way. We're talking about the film Whiplash, which has already had its premiere here at the Sundance Film Festival, and we're here with director Damien Chazelle, producer Paul Reiser, actors Miles Teller.
All right, just go back. Time out.
What'd I do?
Time out. Not really producing it, but just have a little part in it. But nice to produce this thing. No, let's say that. You know what? Who's watching your show?
You produced an acting role.
Well,
let me finish, Paul. You produced an acting role.
I did.
Melissa
It was a
Bennett
very
is here as well.
productive and executive producer.
Well, the way
Melissa
you're
Bennett.
talking today, I mean, you look like you kind of got this big boss thing going on.
Paul actually doesn't want anyone to know, but he financed the entire movie.
That's what I'm talking about. Isn't that what a producer is?
I had it on me. We shot it for $45, and you know
need to
what?
take a minute
it's
to
all
get
on
the
the screen.
check, or-
It is all on the screen.
So my next question is after that 30 seconds, how in the world did this film happen?
I had a feature script, and it's about a jazz drummer. It's not the easiest sell, so I made a short. It was basically a scene from the script last year. Took it to Sundance last year, and that kind of helped us sort of get financiers interested. And then I gave the script to these guys. They're on the movie, and we shot it this past fall.
That was it? Wow.
And that was it.
And
19 days, and what, you had to edit it into Sundance in 9 weeks?
We stopped shooting. We finished shooting in early October. We had to get it to Sundance, for them to, see it, to even see if they wanted it by early November.
So were you looking at? I mean, that's a pretty tight shoot schedule.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose to get it into Sundance?
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
understanding the genesis of the project.
Actually, the shoot schedule wasn't really dictated by Sundance. It was just money. It was just like, with the kind of, this movie has a lot of set pieces with lots of musicians, so we just couldn't get that many more shooting days just because of the nature of the kind of shooting we wanted to do. So that we already knew going in. We had to do. As soon as we were finished with it, we're like, well, let's really. I mean, the dream was to get it into Sundance. We didn't know if we'd be able to because we had so little time, but we wanted to try.
Sure.
We had 1 day of exteriors in New York to just sell the whole movie.
That's New York,
Taking
yeah.
place in New York. That was pretty funny. Just run around Times Square with a camera, and Miles walk across the street, and okay, there we go. There's the Empire State Building, and there we go. And the movie's in New York.
That's the true student film part of the movie.
Yeah, it's a
The
pretty
great thing is in New
insulated
York,
film.
nobody noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's business as
Some
usual,
more
right?
crazy people with stuff going on.
There's always a crane with something going on. Right. Let's talk about your role a little bit, Miles.
Sure.
Obviously, you're talking about it's a hard sell from it's a jazz drummer movie, right? You have some drumming chops, right?
Yeah, I had no jazz training. I actually played alto saxophone in high school jazz band, so.
But you hit it with sticks?
Yeah, I used to just bang it with sticks, and I was drinking a lot back then, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But no, I started playing drums when I was like 15, never played percussion or anything. I wanted to play drums. I was pretty rhythmic, I think, as a child, and then, I played in a couple bands. And I always took my drum set with me. When I went to college, I had a small dorm room, but my drum set was there in the corner.
You just have one like fold-up kits or something, or is it?
No, I mean,
full on
it was
bass,
a Pearl
snare,
form,
the
it
whole
was a
thing?
5-piece kit, Pearl form.
Carry that
and-
around.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I didn't carry it around. You always practice at the drummer's house.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Good.
But Damien's a much better drummer than I am, and Damien actually
thank you, Miles.
really helped me out from day one.
It's
he
the
was
only
like,
compliment
anything you
Miles
need-
ever gives me.
Yeah,
on the drumming.
is this recorded? So he's like,
No, we're here.
anything I needed, Damien came over and was just so excited and willing to help me get into the music.
Great. And from an audition standpoint, I mean, were you looking for a drummer who could act? Or obviously you're looking for an actor who can.
And actually, it was just lucky that Miles could drum because I didn't know that. I was just looking for the best actor I could get, and
But you went with Miles anyway.
I know a lot of people passed.
Availability, Paul. Availability and financing.
Paul, you read for the part too, didn't you? Is this a little awkward?
Yeah, it is awkward. And I said, I'm not 19, but I can play 19. And they said, no, you can't.
So it always breaks your heart when you're an actor when they tell you can't do the decade before.
Yeah.
It's tough. Miles gets that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, that's another question too. I mean, what kind of age difference we got here? I mean, how old are you?
I'm 28.
28, and you're 17.
35.
35, sure.
No, I'm 20. I'm 26.
But I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, right? I mean, you guys are obviously work well together, but from an age standpoint, what did
How did you bridge that 2-year gap?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
No, well, I mean, I will say,
Did you relate to such an old guy?
What kind of dynamic was on the set, I guess is what I'm asking.
In all honesty, Damien is the youngest director I've ever worked with,
Right.
and that wasn't a hiccup for me. I mean, I've worked with first-time directors. This wasn't, Damien's first feature-length film he had directed, but I really enjoyed it because Damien and I we are such contemporaries.
Yeah.
We are pretty much the same age. So for me, it really felt like I was shooting a student film, and I mean that in terms of just how open the collaboration was, and I didn't feel like there was any hierarchy or any real big gap there. So
There was a hierarchy, but you just didn't respect it.
Oh, I no, you're not.
I'm glad we're taking some time today to get this out in the open.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your role a little bit. What drew you to the project? Besides the obvious animosity between actors and directors, I mean, what was it that really kind of turned you onto this?
Immediately when I read the script, I grew up listening to jazz music, and my dad was a jazz drummer, like listening to Thelonious Monk. He's a pianist, but
Is that a complete coincidence? I mean, is that
yeah.
okay?
Yeah, I didn't know that
Yeah.
either before.
Well, you're
Yeah, I
pretty
told him on
unaware of
set.
all these talents and
I'd stay in my bubble,
But I read the script, and immediately after I did, it was just like I knew I had to fight for the role because it was just something I was so drawn to.
I was also up for the part of the pretty girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't get. They
I
went
didn't
with
want
her.
to bring that up.
Go
but-
figure.
Yeah. Well, Paul, what role did you get?
I got well put. Well, there was very little left at the end, and I said, "All right, Slappy the water boy." And you know what? Slappy the water boy. And a lot of times he's drumming so hard he gets thirsty, and I go, "Slappy!" And Slappy would come in a little bucket, and he'd drink it, and he'd spit right in, and sometimes it would get right on me, but I didn't care because I was in a movie.
Yeah, right. Slappy with an umlaut over the A, by the way. You had kind of an Eastern European thing going on.
I play his dad. So every time I read a script now, I see, wow, this is really cool stuff. Where's his father come in? There's always the young cool guy, and then Pops.
So what kind of relationship were you trying to build there? I mean, you've got a drummer who's bleeding from the hands, literally, with a overbearing instructor. How does Dad?
Well,
feel?
it was actually I have two boys, and it was really a beautifully written script, and it really kind of tears your heart out because as a father, you watch your child go down a path that is not healthy, but there's very little you can do at a certain point, certainly when you're that age. So it's just sort of you try your best to influence your son, but ultimately they're going to go and do what they got to do. So it's a really, watching the movie, we watched it the other night at the premiere, and it was like a thriller. Even though it's a really sort of small movie in scale, it's about a guy and a teacher, and there's really not a lot of other characters, but it's so gripping, and the audience watched it like it was a horror movie. It's fantastic.
Lots of gasps, lots of
A
screams.
lot of gasps.
lots of-
Who was telling me? Somebody said that they were sitting next to a stranger who was grabbing their arm like it was The Exorcist. It's really it's incredibly well done. film.
Let's talk about that experience because it was the premiere film for the Sundance Film Festival. So for festival goers, this is their first experience of the year, right? Have you seen the film with a big audience before? What was the experience for you?
I don't think any. No.
No, I saw it with one other person, like a conference room back in LA.
And I'd done little groups as we were cutting,
Sure.
just sort of friends and family.
Not the same.
But nothing.
Never is.
Nothing.
Well, the music's such a part of it, and it's so nice. There's so few movies about musicians and about like that those programs. So and people are just coming up to me being like, man, I grew up playing music. Like I just loved seeing that. Reminded me of when I was in high school and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, we did a red carpet that we showed on the show earlier today. We just interviewed a few people that came out of that premiere and talked about it, and 100% across the board they loved it, and for different reasons. It was really neat to see that, because that's kind of the essence of film going, right? You always bring what you're going to bring to the film, and then hopefully you get something personal out of it. So I think you succeeded.
Yeah. Some people were like, man, that reminded me of my boss I have right now. I hate that guy.
I gotta get out of this job.
Man, he's like, I'm in that job right now. I hate it.
Well, I heard a lot of I wish I played the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of that too.
Hey,
Yeah.
drums a cool thing.
We're bringing it back.
Well, you're going to bring it back in force. It's here at the Sundance Film Festival. The film is Whiplash, playing throughout the festival, and hopefully we'll have a nice long life after that. Everybody, thanks for joining us, and we'll be
for
back
having
with more
us.
in the can after this.
Glad
Stay
I
tuned.
produced it.